Welcome. In this video, talking about Bitcoin, its current price action, doing some technical analysis with Bitcoin to discuss where it's likely headed next. But more importantly, this is the first video where I'm covering altcoins because now that Bitcoin has taken out previous all-time highs, it's time to start shifting focus onto altcoins where we will very likely see a lot of outperformance. So 4 altcoins that I've selected, I'll be going through their charts and talking about why I'm interested in them. And you'll notice all 4 of them share a lot of similarities with their current chart setups. And so now that we're at this point where we may see some really crazy runs on altcoins, which is normally what happens after Bitcoin takes out previous all-time highs and then goes into somewhat of a consolidation or pullback. That's normally what we see is altcoins starting to really take off and outperform. Before all-time highs, Bitcoin really takes the stage and outperforms almost all the altcoins throughout this part of the market cycle. So now that we're here, it's time to talk about altcoins. I'll get into some Bitcoin technical analysis, but first let's go through these altcoins and talk about these charts. So first one, Filecoin. What do I like so much about this chart? And you're going to see a theme here between all of these that I've chosen. I believe all 4 of these, holding them spot position for the next year, should greatly outperform trading. It should greatly outperform Bitcoin or any other sort of normal investment that you can make. Should see some massive outperformance here on altcoins. And the reason I like these is because we have 2 things. We have a big price-based capitulation, so the big, crazy, volatile move to the downside, followed by a time-based capitulation or accumulation range. And these have yet to fully break out of their accumulation ranges, or they're just starting to do so. So we can get in at very low prices and holding them for the next year or so, see massive outperformance over Bitcoin compared to if you get into Bitcoin right now at 66,000, I don't think there's nearly as much upside potential there compared to a lot of the altcoins that are available. So price-based capitulation, huge accumulation range, and a lot of potential for upside as we get into somewhat of an alt season in the coming weeks, months, or next year altogether. So even just getting back to our most significant level on the way down, we already have close to a 12x from today's prices. So seeing some ridiculous returns is very realistic in the coming year for altcoins. Now, that's the first one. Let's take a look at Litecoin next. So Litecoin, same sort of deal, but this one actually has an even longer accumulation range where we didn't really see it participate in this last cycle. And we can go out, let's go to logarithmic so we can kind of see things more clearly with Litecoin. This one I actually made a specific video on a while back covering the fundamental factors that really make this one stand out compared to a lot of others. This one's being used more than Bitcoin is as far as transactions. And we have a lot of new addresses getting opened here with Litecoin. We have merge mining with Dogecoin, making it more profitable to be a miner. And we have also crazy hash rate increasing as we range out here. So what I'm looking at is a massive move to the upside, followed by a huge accumulation range, this one much larger than the others. So we have a nearly 2,300 days of accumulation with Litecoin. So the anticipation here out of this current accumulation range is to see a new high breaking out towards into the 4 figures plus. So that's the idea with Litecoin here and the potential that I see with also the fundamentals. And if you want to see the video I made on Litecoin, I have a video covering the 10 fundamental reasons why this should massively outperform in this current cycle as alts start to take off. Now, let's move on. CRV. Same sort of deal here. So CRV, price-based capitulation, huge accumulation range, still at a cheap price within the accumulation range, hasn't broken out of it yet. So getting in that accumulation and then looking for the big markup phase when we do get that alt season and we see that money flow into alts. So holding these for a year should see some big outperformance. And finally, we have HBAR. So same deal, huge move down, price-based capitulation, accumulation range, just poking out of it now. So this one poking out a bit more than the others, but still same sort of chart setup here that I like to look for when hunting for good altcoins to get in cheap on before they go on their big runs. Okay. And what happens is it's all very quick. So you have this long period of waiting. You get in and you're waiting, and it all happens very, very, very quickly. So when you see that 1, 2, 3 month period where things go ballistic, that is where it's time to exit and take profit. So we will very likely see that after Bitcoin peaks for this cycle. We should see money flowing down into altcoins and seeing some crazy runs. And the idea is to be very patient. And when your coin has its time, it will be pretty short-lived. It's very likely to be short-lived. So taking money out as things go up is important. You don't want to just keep holding expecting it's going to go higher. So have a plan going into it. But these are the 4 that I still see a lot of potential for in the coming year that I believe will massively outperform Bitcoin as of today. So let's get into Bitcoin lower timeframes here. Let's go to the 4-hour. We just saw a flush to the downside yesterday and a bit of a V-shaped recovery. What I'm hoping to see is that we go out into a range. If we want Altseason to really come to fruition, we come up, kind of go out into a range, something like this, before continuing higher. Something like that would be ideal. And I'm looking for the path that corrects this impulse move up. So we have this move starting down at around 38 and up to new all-time highs, 69 or so. Looking for the path that corrects this move. We could just take off to the upside, but that would not be ideal for altcoins. Normally what happens is when we go into our first correction on Bitcoin after hitting all-time highs, that's when we see our first signs of alt season. So if we don't go into a larger correction and we just keep going higher, we probably won't be getting into the alt season until we do get into a much larger or more extended correction. Okay, so ideal scenarios, we see something like this where we range out here, come down, sweep these lows again. That would be perfect for alt season. We'll probably see quite a few alts that really start taking off as Bitcoin just kind of consolidates sideways. So that's the idea right now, expecting that Bitcoin's going to kind of range out here. It's not an extremely high probability environment here because there's a lot of scenarios that could play out the way that things are sitting at this moment. But the main idea of this video is getting into alts that are still at a good price in their accumulation ranges or just breaking out of accumulation ranges, and then holding on spot positions for the next year or so to outperform the market or pretty much any market that you could be in. So that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys can spot some alts that are also setting up in a great way, but these are the 4 that I noted that I want to be getting into here. So thought I would discuss it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching.